headlines of this hour on VTV News. Vietnam sets guidelines for responsible AI development. And ethnic schools ensure students stay warm and nourished during the cold snap. In our world news, US and Japan strengthen alliance for security and growth.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Chen with the top stories. During his working visit to Quảng Nam province on Saturday, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính inspected operations and addressed challenges facing major domestic and international enterprises in the province. The South Korean HS Hyeosong Quảng Nam Province, Quảng Nam Company. The Prime Minister congratulated the corporation on its growth in Vietnam and urged Quảng Nam Province to maintain optimal business conditions for the company. At Thaco Chu Lai Industrial Park, the Prime Minister commended Thaco's evolution into a multi-field private corporation. He acknowledged the group's significant contributions, which include job creation for over 60,000 workers and annual tax payments of more than $790 million to Quảng Nam. Thaco is currently expanding its mechanical automotive industrial park and developing a new research and development center for mechanics and supporting industries. The Ministry of Science and Technology has issued new guidelines outlining key principles for responsible AI development and research. The framework emphasizes cooperation, innovation, transparency, safety, security, and privacy, while ensuring respect for human rights and user accountability. These guidelines aim to balance innovation with risk management to ensure sustainable growth in the sector.
A digital platform research and development team is enhancing users' understanding of chatbots to expand the use of virtual assistants. This initiative aims to increase the adoption of AI-powered solutions.
AI development should prioritize enhancing human capabilities and supporting workforce growth. The focus shouldn't be on automation that replaces or reduces jobs. Additionally, AI training data must be sourced responsibly, ensuring it does not violate personal privacy.
Many AI training institutions now incorporate AI ethics into their curriculum. Alongside technical skills, students learn fundamental AI principles, responsible usage, and ethical considerations, helping them understand the risks and responsibilities in AI development.
I integrate AI ethics into every course to ensure students develop and use AI responsibly, prioritizing ethical and safe interactions between humans and AI.
Vietnam is establishing a clear legal framework for artificial intelligence to ensure legal compliance while upholding ethics and human rights.
Vietnam is addressing both hard and soft laws in AI regulation. If AI poses a risk to society, we will ban it, but we also provide guidelines to encourage innovation and new applications.
A clear legal framework will guide businesses in AI development by ensuring compliance with standards for data transparency and accountability. This approach safeguards user rights while promoting fair competition and innovation.
The Prime Minister has requested that the construction of the Ninh Thuận nuclear power plant be completed by December 31st, 2030, or by December 31st, 2031 at the latest. And to meet this deadline, efforts are underway to update and supplement the Ninh Thuận nuclear power project in Power Development Plan 8, alongside the urgent development of a skilled workforce for the nuclear power sector.
Following the Adjusted Power Development Plan 8, PDP-8, the Ninh Thuận nuclear power project, with 2 plants, will have its capacity reduced to about 1/3 of the original plan, but will use advanced technology to meet future energy needs for socio-economic development.
Previously, the review calculations estimated each plant would have 2 turbines with a capacity of about 4,000 megawatts. However, the capacity of each plant will now range from 1,000 to 1,500 megawatts.
Additionally, new locations for nuclear power projects are considered in the adjusted PDP-8. However, with the need for 600 to 1,200 personnel to manage each plant, focusing on developing human resources for the future nuclear energy ecosystem is also crucial.
8 potential locations for nuclear power development have been identified, concentrated in Ninh Thuan, Bình Định, and Phie. The Ministry of Industry and Trade continues to evaluate these projects for future implementation.
We will resume training programs for officers and engineers on nuclear physics, power plant technology, and waste management to support the 2 nuclear projects. Additionally, preparations are underway to develop human resources for the National Atomic Energy Research Program, focusing on nuclear power technology and safety.
The adjusted PDP-8 for nuclear power must be completed and submitted to the Prime Minister by February 28 this year, ensuring fairness, social progress, and a balanced approach between localities, regions, and national interests.
The government has issued Resolution number 25, setting specific growth targets for sectors and localities to ensure a national growth rate of 8% or more this year. Promoting resources, particularly credit capital, is crucial. The banking sector has prepared various solutions, focusing on areas that will drive growth breakthroughs.
This enterprise aims to export $1.6 billion in software and high-tech products this year, with a target of $5 billion in the near future. Key markets include Japan and Europe. It is investing $200 to $300 million per AI factory to reach those targets.
We collaborated with the bank to find a solution, discovering one that had never been implemented before.
Science, technology, and clean energy are set to grow this year, driven by new policies and major projects. Banks' credit plans will focus on these sectors, alongside traditional ones, to boost growth.
We are swiftly executing our credit plan with a growth rate of about 16.3%, focusing on energy projects and accelerating disbursement for key infrastructure projects like airports, seaports, and transport connections. We will also support capital for supporting industry, high-tech and green tech enterprises.
Last year, credit to the economy increased by about $83 billion, up more than 15%, contributing 7.09% to total GDP. With challenges in medium and long-term capital mobilization through stocks and bonds, monetary and credit policies will remain a key focus this year.
Credit growth for the entire system is expected to reach around 16%, with adjustments based on actual developments. We have communicated credit growth targets to the banks, which is suitable as inflation has been controlled.
For the second year, the State Bank has set credit growth targets for banks to align with market dynamics. It's stressed to closely monitor credit in risky areas to ensure safe and sustainable growth.
Nationwide retail sales of goods and consumer services rose approximately 9.5% in January compared to the same period last year. And according to the General Statistics Office, the trade and service sector generated revenue of $22.6 billion in January. This increase was primarily driven by high domestic consumption during the Tet or Lunar New Year holiday and a strong recovery in tourism. Several localities, including Haiphong, Hanoi, Quảng Ninh, and Ho Chi Minh City, saw high revenue growth after preparing their goods supply well in advance. These areas maintain diverse and abundant inventory to meet consumers' needs. Vietnam ranks among the world's 20 most open economies, with 17 free trade agreements (FTAs) across various countries and regions. And these agreements have strengthened diplomatic relationships, boosted Vietnamese goods competitiveness, and driven export growth. And in the face of rising global trade tensions, Vietnam's robust FTA network allows it to adapt swiftly and maintain strong trade performance.
Through 7 free trade agreements across various countries and regions, this enterprise has successfully exported over 40 processed agricultural products to 25 markets.
Each market has its own requirements, and agricultural products are seasonal. We must carefully plan production to ensure a stable, year-round supply that meets customer demand.
Vietnam's 17 signed FTAs have opened access to about 60 global markets, driving export growth. Vietnamese products have also established a strong foothold in these markets, enabling them to adapt effectively to changing demands and economic shifts.
In the 5 years since the EVFTA took effect, trade between Vietnam and the EU has grown at an average rate of 14% per year. We have successfully expanded market access, ensuring both strong export growth and trust from our European partners.
Vietnamese trade offices abroad report that signs of a trade war have been emerging over the past decade, as nations shift from trade liberalization to protectionism, disrupting supply chains and limiting export markets. To sustain domestic production, ensuring stable market access and continuously expanding consumer markets remain crucial.
Colombia is a highly promising market. The trade office in Venezuela, which also oversees Colombia, is working with relevant authorities to explore a potential trade agreement between the two countries. This could serve as a crucial stepping stone for Vietnamese businesses to expand in Latin America.
The World Trade Organization, WTO, has revised its 2025 global trade growth forecast to 3.3%, a 0.3% increase from its previous projection. Countries with large trade volumes, including Vietnam, still have opportunities to expand their markets.
Coming up next on VTV News. Ethnic schools ensure students stay warm and nourished during the cold snap. And later on, Phu Quoc sees surge in international travelers. You're watching VTV News Live. A preliminary conference reviewing the partnership between residential clusters along the Vietnam-China border was held Friday in Dong Dang Town, Lạng Sơn Province, Vietnam. The event was part of the 9th Vietnam-China Border Defense Friendship Exchange Program. Delegations from both sides of the border attended, including representatives from Dong Dang Town, Cao Lộc District, Lạng Sơn Province, Vietnam, and Pinh Xiang Town, Hoang Xi Chang Autonomous Region, China. The participants agreed to strengthen people-to-people exchanges, cooperation, and mutual support to boost economic and social development in both border regions. The Dong Dang Festival was also held Friday to create opportunities for sports and artistic exchanges between people on both sides of the border. The north and north-central regions continue to experience widespread cold on Saturday. Temperatures in the northern Delta region have dropped to 9 to 12 degrees Celsius, while the northern mountainous region sees even lower temperatures of 5 to 8 degrees Celsius. Some high mountain areas have plunged below 3 degrees Celsius. Frost and snow are expected on mountain peaks, including Phan Xipan, Y Tý, Tà Xùa, La Bán Tần, Mèo Vạc, and Phie. The cold spell extends to the Thanh Hóa, Huế area, with areas from Thanh Hóa to Hà Tĩnh experiencing extreme cold at 11 to 14 degrees Celsius. Maritime areas face strong northeast winds. The Northeast Sea, including Hoàng Sa Island District, faces strong winds of level 7 to 8, with gusts reaching level 9 to 10 and rough seas. Similar conditions affect the Tonkin Gulf and the sea area from Khánh Hòa to Bình Thuận to the west of Trường Sa Island District, with winds of level 6 to 7, gusting to level 8 to 9 and rough seas. A strong cold wave has brought widespread severe cold to northern region of Vietnam starting Friday, with temperatures ranging from 9 to 12 degrees Celsius and dropping below 2 degrees Celsius in northern mountainous areas. In Hà Giang province, temperatures in many areas have dropped significantly, reaching only 3 degrees Celsius. And all schools have stepped up measures to keep students warm and maintain class attendance.
Yin Khun Semi-Boarding Primary School in Bắc Mê District has over 850 students, more than 50% of whom are semi-boarding students. The school has implemented measures to keep their students warm and healthy. Hot water systems and classrooms have been repaired. In addition, the school provides students with thick blankets, mattresses, and warm clothing.
I'm very happy as I have a warm blanket and hot water to use in cold weather. The food is delicious. Teachers are very caring and supportive.
To stay healthy, students are advised to eat cooked food and drink boiled water. Avoid cold foods and beverages, and do not eat unknown foods sold outside the school.
Schools in Yin Minh District have provided nutritious meals for students. The menus are rotated regularly to ensure students receive adequate energy for effective learning throughout the day. The Hà Giang Provincial Department of Education and Training has directed all schools to monitor weather conditions and implement appropriate response measures.
Now moving on to an important health update. Currently, no abnormalities have been detected in the reception and treatment of flu patients in Ho Chi Minh City. The Ho Chi Minh City Department of Health announced on Friday that the Central Hospital for Tropical Diseases is treating 8 flu patients, one of whom requires ECMO, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. Following Ministry of Health guidelines issued Friday, the City Center for Disease Control has stepped up its surveillance of flu cases and suspected severe pneumonia caused by the virus in the region. Since the first tree planting campaign began in spring 1960, following President Ho Chi Minh's teachings, communities across the nation have united to plant trees at each new year. Planting a tree means more than adding greenery to the environment. It represents a promise to future generations for a healthier, more sustainable life.
The largest banyan tree in Yen Bo village was the final one planted by President Ho Chi Minh during his annual tree planting campaign. The site of its 1969 planting has become a historical monument. Today, the tree stands as a living symbol of local culture in Vut Lai commune.
Since Uncle Ho planted the banyan tree on the second day of the Lunar New Year, we've invited elders to gather here. We celebrate the historic event together, singing songs and reading poems about Uncle Ho.
In 1965, the villagers of Yen Bo planted trees across their local hills, hoping that Uncle Ho would visit their village. Their wish came true in 1969 when President Ho Chi Minh planted the banyan tree here.
We are very proud to have such a precious banyan tree. That's why when Lunar New Year approaches, we call for residents to plant new trees.
In addition to planting new trees, a group of volunteers near the Hung Pagoda has launched an annual campaign to restore trees after the Tet holiday.
On the second and the third days of the Lunar New Year, locals usually attend the local festival. They're unable to care for their peach and kumquat trees that decorated their homes during Tet. Throwing away these trees would be a waste.
For 65 years since the first tree planting campaign launched, localities across the nation have encouraged their residents to plant new trees every year, hoping for a thriving and prosperous nation.
The Sung Lee Fishing Festival received the National Intangible Cultural Heritage Certificate on Friday at a ceremony held in Nhơn Lý Commune, Quy Nhơn City, People's Committee, Bình Định Province. This traditional festival, celebrated for 2 decades, take place annually on the 10th day of the first lunar month. Local fishermen organized the event to honor the well god, their guardian deity, to pray for favorable weather and bountiful seafood harvest, while strengthening community bonds across generations. Now recognized as a national intangible cultural heritage, the Seung Lee Fishing Festival will be preserved, promoted, and shared with more visitors. Vietnam's tourism industry welcomed nearly 2.1 million international visitors in January, a 37% increase year-on-year, with nearly 87% arriving by air. During Tet, Phu Quoc experienced a 1.5 times surge in visitors compared to last year. This strong start has boosted confidence in achieving the 2025 targets of 130 million domestic tourists and 23 million international arrivals.
During peak holiday periods, Phu Quoc International Airport bustled with activity as passengers filled all check-in counters.
Immigration processing took about an hour, but overall, services at the airport remained well managed.
International airport is very clean. It's very service. It's very good.
In early 2025, Phu Quoc received an average of 70 international flights daily, accommodating approximately 16,000 passengers. The international airport has implemented measures to prevent overcrowding.
We are implementing plans to maximize the use of check-in counters, ensuring reducing congestion during peak hours.
According to the Phu Quoc City People's Committee, the island welcomed over 281,000 visitors during the recent Lunar New Year holiday, a 47% increase from the same period in 2024. A key highlight was the surge in international arrivals.
We are calling on investors to develop unique tourism products that showcase Phu Quoc's distinct charm, attracting more international visitors.
Thanks to its mild climate, stunning beaches, and diverse tourism offerings, Phu Quoc continues to attract international visitors. The strong growth in early 2025 signals a promising outlook as the island aims to welcome over 7 million visitors this year.
Coming up next in our world news. U.S. and Japan strengthen alliance for security and growth. And later on, flu rates rise to the highest level in Belgium. Now moving on to our world news. Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru established a positive rapport with U.S. President Donald Trump during their first summit on Friday, reaffirming the strength of their country's security and economic ties. During their talks in Washington, the two leaders pledged to enhance cooperation in defense, economy, and technology as they pursue a new golden age of bilateral relations. President Trump committed to addressing the U.S. trade deficit with Japan, while Prime Minister Ishiba promised to increase Japanese investment in the U.S. In cybersecurity, Japan and the United States aim to strengthen cooperation against cyber attacks. Their space-related collaboration will include satellite communications and missile detection and tracking systems. The Japanese government on Friday submitted to Parliament a bill that would allow police and the self-defense forces to neutralize hostile servers during cyber attacks targeting critical infrastructure. Police would initially handle server neutralization, with the self-defense forces cyber unit intervening upon the Prime Minister's order when their expertise is needed. The self-defense forces would become involved in cases such as sophisticated cyber attacks orchestrated by foreign governments. The bill requires operators of core infrastructure to notify the government of any cyber attacks. Operators who fail to report and government officials who disclose surveillance information would face penalties. The number of patients with flu symptoms in Belgium rose to its highest level in 5 years last week. Significantly more flu patients are ending up in hospitals. According to the Belgian Public Health Institute, the rate of people with flu-like symptoms visiting doctors has reached nearly 1,200 per 100,000 people, an exceptionally high rate that could climb even higher. Brussels hospitals' emergency rooms are becoming increasingly overwhelmed, and the situation has worsened due to medical staff shortages, as some workers have contracted the flu themselves. Health experts recommend staying home when sick, following disease prevention measures, and getting vaccinated to protect both yourself and others. Edible flowers are becoming more popular as both an attractive and a tasty addition to recipes. In several countries, edible flowers have been used since ancient times, but now their popularity has reached a higher level. A Parisian flower shop is bringing a flavorful twist to Valentine's Day with edible flowers, offering sustainable alternatives to traditional bouquets.
Florist Blanche Piat picked a stem of white hoary stock flowers as she prepared a bouquet in her Paris shop. In Piat's flower shop, edible flower bouquets are on sale for romantics wishing to buy the traditional gifts for Valentine's Day.
Donc ça se mange, je vais le montrer.
This one is interesting because it's like a flower candy. It's not the flavor, which is the most interesting part, but it's aesthetically pretty. And that's also important in bouquets. Then the sweet williams are small flowers that you can put with everything. It could be quite fun, like in ice cubes. It's really pretty.
Open since 2018, the shop in the French capital's 10th arrondissement works with around 10 local producers around France as part of a push against imported flowers, many of which are cultivated in unacceptable conditions both humanely and ecologically.
Traditionally, flowers come from around the world. Around 85% come from abroad, from China, Colombia, and so it's a product that travels quite a lot and are very polluting.
The shop usually works with businesses who often use edible flowers for gastronomic creations.
Generally, the aesthetic of the flowers is quite appreciated, and we're often asked if they're edible. Depending on the flowers in the cocktail, there will be different flavors, freshness, floral notes, a bit of bitterness, and that changes with the seasons, depending on the bouquets that we get.
Edible flowers are transforming how Parisians experience Valentine's Day, merging beauty with gastronomy.
Now let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app, VTVgo, or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.